and the excitement around the show was palpable.
Throughout your life, you only see a few people that just have it. I mean, you can just see them, and you know that it's their destiny, that that's what they're put on earth to do.
Growing up on the mean streets of St. Louis, Randy and Jason's road to cheap seats was one riddled with jagged glass and sharp pebbles.
You look down, you can see the neighborhoods there, and just looking from the expressway, it looks like a tough neighborhood. I mean, you want to go hide if you're down there.
Yeah, it was a tough neighborhood. It was really tough. I mean, when we played Cowboys and Indians, we displaced families.
It was a close-knit and loving family. Their parents tried to impart positive characteristics on Randy and Jason with varying degrees of success.
Jason is a pretty well-rounded individual. He comes from a good family, a good background.
They're all really great people, a super family. You can see that all of their characteristics have rubbed off on Jason.
Randy is probably somewhere in between, like most of us are. And I'm not saying he's an angel, but at the same time, he's not sometimes the ogre a lot of people like to make him out to be.
Randy's his own guy, and he's not going to be under the sway of anybody. I think we found that out.
Like Voltron, their differing personalities banded together to form a mighty whole and gave them the confidence to ask America if it cared.
Do you care that Steve Garvey almost ran for Senate, but 2 paternity suits tarnished his squeaky clean image? Do you care that the superstars remained a huge hit through the 80s until the leagues prohibited their athletes from competing? And that today the show only includes Olympians and football players? Do you care that in 1995 an Ohio father was charged with child endangering for excessively hounding his children to excel in spelling bees? Do you care? Do you care? Do you care? Do you care? Do you care that Virginia Deloney of Jackson, Wyoming left a $200,000 trust fund for her 2 cats?
We understand that most of our audience never went to school. So we feel like it's our job to educate them further. We're like the Princeton Review of third-tier cable sports shows.
Okay, can we go back to that shot of the depressed guy in the crowd? Yeah. What did this guy do to his wife that made her drag him here? Did he, A, wear a Bulls jersey to her sister's wedding, which, for the record, it did say black tie optional? Or B, mistakenly record 60 Minutes over the series finale of Moonlighting? C, leave their son at the mall? Or D, both A and C? Ah, the answer's D, both A and C.
Viewers were starting to care, and the show was almost registering a Nielsen rating. Spirits were high.
They just had everything going for themselves. They had momentum. Every little thing they did it perfectly.
I think both guys have gotten better and better, and they feed off each other.
They understood, no matter what the situation was, they knew what their job was, didn't make a lot of mistakes.
It had all the elements: celebrity, crime, sex, or possibilities of it, or anger about it. It had every human emotion in there.
Celebrities started showing up at all our events, and it got weird. It was like that movie Outbreak. Once one celebrity showed up, it started to spread like a disease. But a good disease, like a disease that you would want.
Well, he can fill the Look, it's the big mute villain from Superman 2. It's Putt-Putt Dennis Eckersley. And speaking of Fast Times at Ridgemont High, Mike Damone on hand. Man, Nicholson is everywhere. Yakov Smirnoff? What the hell's he doing there? Better yet, why is he hanging out with Kurt Russell?
With increased exposure came VIP status and all the trappings of glitterati that went with it.
We walked into a disco and the whole place, 6,000 people, just stopped.
We found we had a lot in common. Our lifestyles were really similar, and the highs and the lows of it and the interaction with the public and all that stuff, is a lot more similar than people might think.
Frankly, I don't think they care. They live their life according to their agenda, and that's the way they are, and it's sort of refreshing.
Their cavalier attitude on the social scene found its way into their closets. Like many celebrities, they refused to admit their own fashion mistakes, but were quick to point fingers at others.
Did you notice in that last sequence, every single time they showed Earl Christensen, he had a different hat on? I know. Can we see those shots again, guys? I can't believe they tried to pass that off on the viewers. I mean, how stupid did they think the audience was? Yeah, what do they think? People aren't paying attention? It's a blatant continuity error. Totally. I know. It's ridiculous. It's stupid.
All right, we'll be back with more Cheap Seats right after this.
Nice job, Ran.
Thanks, Jay.
You are not at a picnic, buddy. This is your job. Come on! How about a little decorum, Reg? And what are they, a breakdancing troupe or an indoor soccer team? Yeah, those things weren't even cool in the 80s. Yeah.
I think there's always dangers when you try to take anything and push it to the extreme because you're going to places of the unknown. Great things can happen, but great things, positive and negatively, can happen in that realm.
I would never let Ted Kennedy drive you to Chappaquiddick, Pam Middick.
You were on Real World 3 San Francisco. You would probably have connected most with sensitive cartoonist Judd Winnick, Pam Minnick.
They weren't afraid of how they would be perceived by the world media or something. They didn't even know what that meant.
I think people really got into the drama and the excitement of watching it, knowing that at any given time, these guys could crash.
There was a respect for each other. I think it was a healthy relationship. I think it was a good relationship. But were they like brothers? I don't know.
They were symbiotic. They were joined at the hip. They loved to do everything together. They wanted to do everything together and took care of one another very well in the good moments.
Publicly, there were plenty of good moments, and spirits seemed high. But the public adoration was driving a wedge between the brothers. Randy's new entourage was whispering in his ear that he should become the sole host of Cheap Seats, and that Jason was just holding him back.
I mean, Jason and I, as a team, had plateaued, basically. We weren't going any higher. It's like you've learned how to ride the bike, time to take off the training wheels, and Jason was the training wheels. What the hell is that supposed to mean? What, I'm your training wheels? You're my kickstand. You got a problem? What? You heard me? No, I didn't hear you. What do you want me to do? You want to say it to me? Just say it to my face. He heard me. I know he heard me. That's what I'm talking about. Training wheels.
The thing I like about covering Randy is that there's no filter in his brain as far as what he thinks and what he says. When you ask him a question, you can feel pretty good that you're going to get an honest answer.
Let's not be naive. I think his personality does enter into it. He's a very difficult guy to get to. He's got a tough facade, a very standoffish personality, a very temperamental guy.
And now it's time to give out some hardware of our own. That's right, folks. It's Cheapy time. The Cheapy for the least valuable player award goes
Kevin,
to...
can you not do that right now?
Go ahead.